K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Intergalactic planetary.
Welcome to the podcast you've always wanted. It's The Right Angle with Bill and Leslie.
Well, now, so a Syrian and two German Irish walk into a bar. Wait, this isn't a bad joke about the European refugee crisis. This is The Right Angle with Bill and Leslie. I'm Leslie. He's Bill. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Leslie.
Billy, did you get that intro?
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You get it? Because I'm Syrian, kind of. And
Kind
you
of.
and you and our special guest are German Irish, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's kind of something.
Yes. Tonight, we're delighted to welcome a very special guest, our third guest, Eva. She's a contributor to View from the Cheap Seats and The Federalist. It's the very lovely and brilliant Andrea Ruth. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, thank you.
So, yeah, so Andrea writes at The Federalist, and I think the first piece you ever wrote for them was the first one I saw. It was the one on the EPA, right?
No, actually, there was the very first one was about transableism, because I have a very special insight into people that want to maim themselves. So,
Okay. If you want to tell people about that really quick, you can, but you're under no obligation to.
oh yeah, no, about 5 years ago this month. It'll be 5 years since I had a car accident where I lost my lower right leg and my left arm. So that's, yeah. So I had just a few words about transableism. So that's where I started.
Okay.
Could we share for the listeners what transableism means? Because I'm sure not everybody's up on the latest jargon.
Oh yeah, it's where people feel like they shouldn't have been born with whatever part of their body they say feels weird or whatever, and they there's actually people that
Wait, really? That's a thing?
yes, and they actually go and like chop limbs. Like there was a guy up in Canada that had chopped his arm off and he had planned the whole thing, and yeah, so they, anyways, it's one of the most bizarre things. It all was around that whole Rachel Dolezal time period. So,
Get the fuck out of here, really?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That's a strange fetish. That's a really...
It's not a fetish, it's a trans issue, Bill.
Oh, okay.
Why aren't you taking it seriously?
Probably because I don't think it was meant to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's now, it's the enablement of, real mental disorders to be realized as a social issue and enabled as a social issue, and that's screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrea wrote an awesome story, like an awesome piece about that. We should link that out to the show.
So
Social
speaking
issue,
of
and that's
speaking of weird fetishes, do you know what a really great fetish is that has overtaken most of Europe these days?
Caring.
What?
Caring.
I was going to say white guilt, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
White guilt. It's a thing now. Well, it's always been a thing, but now it's a big thing. So you guys both know, and people who are listening, there's been this exodus of people somewhat slowly from Syria trying to come into Europe through Turkey and Hungary. And in recent days, it's gotten a lot worse because a little boy was on a boat coming from Turkey to the island of Lesbos in Greece, and the boat capsized, and the boy and his mother and I think his sister all died on the boat, and his body washed up on the shore, and it was like really tragic. And after that, there were all these calls to do more to help these poor migrant people, yada, 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 yada. So let's just kind of go right into it. So I guess everybody has seen the pictures of the little boy on the beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, sure.
Well, the story is that he was fleeing from the war in Syria. But the problem with that is that, well, they said they were fleeing the war in Syria, and that they had tried to get asylum in Canada, and the Canadians had denied them that. Now, Canada's not going to do that because their population is dwindling to hell, and they're just a perpetual revolving door for virtually anyone. So Canada didn't deny this family asylum, so that's one of these bizarre stories that got told. This thing with the little kid really pisses me off because it's just a really great example of how the Western media, fueled by a desire to create a story and to create outrage, like William Randolph Hearst, basically took a picture of this boy, invented a story around it, and now we're supposed to feel all these things. But the truth of the matter is that this kid wasn't fleeing Syria. His family had lived in Turkey for the last 4 years. They fled Syria years ago. The father had said that he was kidnapped by ISIS when they lived in Syria, when they lived in Aleppo in Syria. But ISIS didn't exist until a year and a half ago when they were living in Turkey. And Aleppo did not have ISIS activity in it at any time that they lived in the country at all. There was there was no Jabhat al-Nusra Front, nothing. So it's a weird story. It's mostly lies. But one of the really fascinating things that I found was reading a CBC article about it, which was from Canada, and they had a quote from the boy's aunt, and she had said that the reason they were trying to go from Turkey to Europe was because the father needed to have dental work done, like $14,000 worth of dental work. He needed to get his grill fixed, and so.
I saw that as well.
Yeah, and so the weird thing about this is that in the same sentence that she says this, she says, and I couldn't send them more than $1,000 at a time at Western Union, and I had to send it in someone else's name, and then that person would have to give them the money. So that kind of sends out a warning bell, doesn't it?
Well, certainly. And I also saw in one of the first stories about this was that the father was claiming that his teeth were messed up or missing because he had been tortured by Assad's forces. And so they knocked some of his teeth out and then he removed the rest of them or something like that.
Yeah, and then he later claimed that it was ISIS that did it, that he was kidnapped by ISIS and they had tortured him by pulling his teeth out.
Yeah, because Assad and ISIS sounds so alike in Arabic.
I agree. So, what do we think about this migrant thing? I mean, is this just... Why is this happening? Why do you guys think this is happening?
Andrea?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, the whole migrant thing is all, because of Assad in Syria and all of that kind of stuff. But kind of going back, what I thought of earlier when you were talking about the media making, finding a story and building a narrative around it, is we've been seeing these stories about capsized boats for months now and people being dragged out of the water. And you know how many probably 3-year-old kids and younger have probably been a part of that. And yet this one picture, and it's basically, and I don't mean to equate, a lion to a human being, but it's basically like the Cecil the lion of the Syria conflict. And it's a way to get everybody kind of riled up about it.
Yeah, what was that line from, I think it was either Hearst or Pulitzer, where he said, "You give me the pictures and I'll give you the war."
Very nice. Yeah.
When that ship in Cuba, the Spanish ship in Cuba, had been supposedly hit by some kind of a maritime mine.
Right.
It had been blown up. He said, he told the reporter, "You get me the pictures, I'll give you the war."
And I think that makes sense. And I think Andrea's analog to the outrage and the whip up of frenzy over that lion, it makes sense because not only have there been migrations and of course all kinds of butchery throughout the Middle East at the hands of Islamists for months and for years, in fact, but you didn't see any of this back in the days of Darfur, back in the days of Somalia. There have been plenty of refugee crises in fact, Middle Eastern countries, in Africa. You never heard about it before. And those refugees weren't nearly as lucky. And I think the point that we're trying to come to is that there's another motivation here for both the migration and for the support of the migration that you never saw in years past.
I think it's purely economic. And I have had this discussion with people because I have a couple of tweets that are actually still going right now, where people have been taking pictures of these migrants landing on these boats in Greece and Cyprus and whatever for like 2 or 3 weeks now. And I just started pouring through some of the pictures as I usually do. And I was like, wow, these motherfuckers have a selfie stick. Like, there's like 12 Arab men sitting on a beach with a selfie stick smoking American cigarettes, wearing Air Jordans, taking a selfie, and they're like, oh, we are in Greece now. Where'd you get the selfie stick from? Like, was your village bombed out and that was the only thing left and you had a sentimental attachment to it? Really? Where did they get? I mean, I'm not being cute. Where did they, what's the deal with that?
Well, most of these folks are not coming from bombed out villages, that's for sure. Let's not even start yet about the fact that you got 90% of the migrants claiming that they're Syrian, but in fact, the actual percentage is much lower. Let's leave that aside for a second. But I don't fault, I think you and I disagree on this a little bit, Billy. I don't fault your middle class person, your average middle class or even upper class person from saying, okay, it's getting ugly around here. I'm going to pack up my Samsung and my selfie stick and my whatever and my gold, whatever, and get the hell out of here. I don't fault anybody for that, but I just don't think that is the vast majority of the folks getting out of there. I think there's a lot of people joining the parade, if you will, as you're saying, to do it an economic migration into Europe for the benefits that they're offering. Probably unwisely offering.
If these same people, and that's the thing, it's a lot of people saying, okay, there is an opening here where we can get in and not really have to worry about going through all of the normal processes that would happen when you are immigrating. And so they're saying we can get in now in this crisis, and it's making the quote unquote crisis even worse when so few of these people are actually Syrian, and you're getting Iraqis and all kinds of people that are wanting out because their economy and just political situations in their own countries with ISIS even are so bad that you can now bypass all of the normal steps that you would have to do, and you can become a quote unquote refugee, and then you cease to be a refugee when you then move from the refugee camp area or housing or what have you, and move into another country, let's say Germany, and these people are going to Hungary, and at that point they're then becoming migrants or migrant workers or just immigrants, or kind of not illegal, but kind of illegal immigrants, because they're trying to immigrate without going through the proper channels.
Yeah, and that's something that going back to the whole thing with taking the selfies, I had a lot of people that were quick to point out to me, oh, well, she's a refugee, not a migrant. And I go, look, if she's from war-torn Syria and she's physically escaping physical harm and potentially death and danger.
Like imminent
danger. Once she goes from Syria to Turkey and she's living in a relocation camp or something, she's not a refugee anymore. She's a migrant. Anywhere she goes after that, she's a migrant.
Yeah, and if she didn't leave due to the imminent threat of danger, she was never a refugee to begin with.
Correct.
She was always a migrant.
And one of the things that I would really like to point out is that, and I have on Twitter, is that a lot of these people are Assad regime collaborators. If you're leaving Syria and you have enough money after 4 years of that war going on, you have enough money that you're upper middle class or rich, dude, you're a collaborator with them, because there's no one left in that country that has any money of any kind. Syria's GDP is like nothing now. It's almost non-existent. So the idea, the fantasy that these people are like some heroic millionaires or something escaping this country, it's insane. These are people who have held on, living in Assad-controlled territories, perhaps even quite close to the man himself, and now they think that perhaps the tide is turning, and they're going to run the fuck the other way, because now they realize the war is coming to them finally.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a collaborator. I think that's a little extreme to call it a collaborator. You can just be a Syrian that was just doing real damn good under the Assad administration, and you were fine. But now the shit's hitting the fan.
And that's what I'm saying, is that the GDP of the country is nothing. It's almost the same as North Korea. So what have these people been doing for the last year?
Well, and
the country's GDP has been in the toilet for 2.5 years. There is no middle class in Syria. I mean, I could cite surveys and economic reports. There's no such thing. So wherever these people are from, it's either not from Syria or they're pretty damn rich because, you know, they chose the good side of the fight to be on for as long as they could, and now they're bailing. Now,
Andrea was saying something.
Oh, all I was going to say was that, you see the media, the European and international media, basically doing the same thing that they do here with, Mexican and other Latin American immigrants, is that they're building them, all these people up, that each one is this good, noble, hardworking, refugee, and that they're all good. And you're like, you don't know who you're letting in, what kind of people you're letting in when you're letting them in these amounts of numbers. I mean, there's reports of IDs and everything being, found along the trails that they're taking and the roadways that they're taking. And you don't know who these people are. You're not able to do background checks on what kind of criminal activity. I mean, not to say that they're all bad at all or anything, but you have no idea what the percentages of who these people really are.
Andrea's sounding very Trumpy.
Uh-oh. No, that's not what I mean.
And she also she said Mexicans.
I did not mean to say that.
Which I'm going to use forever. But no, you're absolutely right, Andrea, and that's to the point we were making at the top of the podcast. They're leaving their IDs of their native countries all along the roadway because they're either procuring fake Syrian IDs or they're just kind of showing up with nothing. Like, hey, I'm Syrian now.
Yeah, I mean, how many people, who are wandering through, Hungary or Greece, just turn around and go, hey, I know you, you're a town rapist. How many? Yeah. I mean, how many of these people are murderers and rapists and God only knows what? Because the best time to leave a country and start with a new record is when something like this happens.
During instability.
Yeah,
right.
You throw all your shit in the garbage or you burn it and you leave, and when you show up at the next country, you go, I have nothing, house burned, Saudi.
I think the majority of these people are probably good, well-intentioned, people who are just trying to take, advantage of an economic benefit that they could that they see in their future and that they hope for, because their country and everything is so crappy. But who is more likely to see that situation and say, wow, this is something that can be manipulated to my benefit in a negative way?
And is it my benefit or the the benefit of ISIS or the benefit of an Islamist regime that wants to sneak people in there? They said, they were announcing back in February, before they saw this gravy train, that they're going to be sneaking 500,000 migrants into Europe. And, it's never going to be easier than now to just put, as my Syrian buddy says, whom I talked to for his insights about this, he goes, it's never going to be easier than now for ISIS to just put on their civvies.
Right, and anybody
across the border,
and anybody in Europe who shows some concern, well, you're xenophobic and racist, and but it's like you sit there and these the officials in Hungary and everywhere are saying, look, we can't, we need to slow this down so that we can kind of adjust, and but yet
that's not caring enough.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah. I want to talk about this when we come back. We need to take a quick break, and I'd love to talk further about how Europe, both the the leaders and the civilians are handling this so far. We'll be back in a minute with The Right Angle.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of conservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe, and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name like a long lost friend.
Hey folks, Slickery Trigger here. I'd like to take a minute to tell you about Rebel Road Tactical. As a defensive pistol instructor, I've had the opportunity to observe many different holster designs and configurations. And one thing is clear. Many of my students won't carry a pistol. Or worse, they'll carry one without a holster at all. Holster designers aren't making holsters for normal people. It seems that most holsters are either an expensive piece of gear designed for Rambo or a piece that doesn't fit or function the way real people need it to fit and function. So, like any good Texan, I decided to learn to form Kydex and design one myself, one that would fit the needs of average people. The result is the Rebel Road Tactical CRT Modular. The CRT stands for Carry, Range, and Training. Its thin and lightweight curved design minimizes printing and is adjustable to fit just right for superior comfort and function. Check us out after the show at rebelroadconcealed.blogspot.com.
And we're back. We started talking about what the reaction is in Europe among the leaders who apparently, some of whom were quite moved by this, the picture of the little boy. And I was kind of astonished reading that. I really didn't think that you changed an entire policy in your country or handle a massive migration crisis that is likely to upset your entire economic system because you had a sad about a little boy in a photo. Billy, you have some thoughts about this.
Okay. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to let it die on the table. If you guys want to say anything about it, feel free to. This whole thing is really because of one person, Adolf Hitler. Europe did absolutely nothing to help Jews during the Holocaust. Nothing. Countries like Romania and Yugoslavia turned their Jewish populations over to Hitler. Willingly. Austria, too. So, the countries that didn't just turn a blind eye, they collaborated with the Nazis. And Europe has, for the last 70 years, rightfully so, felt kind of shitty about that. And they see this mass exodus, this mass migration of people trying to move into Europe. And they're like, hey, this is our chance. Like, we can do
redeem
something.
ourselves.
And they're letting Adolf Hitler live rent-free in their heads. And it's stupid. It really is. Because this is not the same situation. And I've said this to people privately. I said this to someone in a bar last night who I was talking to about this. I said, look, the guy goes, well, they can't just document and process all these people. And I go, dude, there's 400,000 of these people. The fucking Germans processed and transported 8.5 million people into gas chambers during the war. You're going to tell me that with modern... That's not funny. You're going to tell me with modern...
That analogy is funny.
You're going to tell me with modern fucking technology they can't document and process 500,000 people? Like, did we go backwards in time or something? I mean, because the Nazis were using fucking paper records. Paper records! They didn't even have, telegraph machines. They're using paper fucking records, and they documented 8.5 million people that they rounded up and murdered. So this idea that you can't somehow round up 500,000 people coming into Europe, it's absolutely asinine. Of course you can do it.
Well, by round up, you mean keep them at a border, keep them from disseminating and disappearing into the public until you understand who they are and whether they pose a threat.
Yeah, I think Europeans are very adverse to doing things that they think will earn them comparisons to Hitler. And it's already happening now in Hungary. They have one camp in Hungary. God only knows, they finally built one. They have a camp to house these people until they can question them, photograph them, document who they are, where they say they're from, if they're even being truthful. And already people in the European press, I've seen stories from Sky News and ITV, saying the Hungarians are being fucking Nazis again. And by the way, if you're an Arab if you're anybody, if you're a displaced person, an ethnic or religious minority of some kind, and you think that the solution for you, the final one, if you will, is to get on Hungarian and German trains that will relocate you to the east, I don't know. You might not be a student of history.
It's really unfortunate that according to Godwin's law, you're just wrong. Because you're actually right. I'm sitting here trying to find the name of the movie. But when I was in college, one of my last class for my minor was taking a modern German history class, and it dealt a lot with movies. And there's a movie. I don't know if it's Our Mothers, Our Fathers. I can't remember. But anyways, it basically deals with. It's a movie about that takes place in the 1980s. Basically about the grandchildren of Nazis and people that just or who were just in Germany. Maybe they weren't part of the whole military part, but they were there and they saw everything. And so it's just basically about that in the 1980s the German grandchildren were then finding out, because you weren't allowed to really talk about the Holocaust during the the 50s, 60s era. They just didn't even want to deal with it. And the grandparents and parents didn't really want to deal with it. And so you had this whole generation of children saying, wow, what happened? And they started in on this whole new era of guilt and feeling. So anyways, it's just bringing all of that kind of stuff back. Like, it's obvious that that's where this feeling comes from, at least.
Do you think it's because they were sort of insulated from it beforehand, kind of insulated from knowing the awful truth? Now they're like overly guilted and feeling like they need to redeem themselves.
Well, they're all raised as far left liberals, right? I mean, at least what we would call them. You know, they're still the the National Socialists and the Democratic Socialists. They didn't go anywhere. They were still in Germany, you know, but they just came up with, you know, new names, and you know, semantic satiation took over, where you say a different word until it means something else. You know, so I think that is.
Don't trigger me, Andrea.
I'm sorry.
The trigger warning. Don't microaggress me.
No, I think it's really kind of a shame, because, you know, I sort of imagine the conversation would, you know, kind of go like, you know, the Hungarians would be like, hey, why don't the Germans bring trains? Nine. No, with the trains, with the relocation, yeah? 9 with that.
Merkel,
so you guys did really well with that in the 40s. 9! People are all on vacations then. Nothing happened. But
suddenly Merkel commissions like Boeing to build a fleet of jets because we're not using trains.
No, they are using trains now. The Germans are using trains, and they're writing these slogans in Arabic on the sides of the trains that say, "You are welcome."
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure at the front of Auschwitz it said your work will make you free. I mean, it just...
Yeah, exactly.
Probably says we like you much better than we used to like the Jews. That's what they say.
Terrible.
Hey, I can read Arabic. I'm telling you what it says.
Yeah, you know what we have in common with the Arabs, right? We are not so liking the Jews, yeah?
Okay. We've been so civil. I'm saving my racism until like 10 minutes from now.
Well, you know, Iran did change its name to be closer to the word Aryan, so there you go.
They did.
We brought it full circle.
No, but
seriously, she ain't wrong.
This is all sorts of really fucked up, and there's now. I said,
whose phone is that?
My bad.
Rick.
That's once.
Rick. Andrea, we got to tell you something right now. At least once every episode, there's some sort of strange noise that comes out of nowhere. And Billy and I are like, what? Hello?
Not
what?
nowhere,
And then we get a pop-up. Rick pops up like the gopher on Caddyshack. And he's like, oh, that was me, sorry. Every episode.
Okay, so we got that out of the way. So there's, I mean, I sent to both of you guys before, there's a story that I read on CNBC, which was quoting, I think, a BBC article or a Der Spiegel story, which was basically saying that the European Commission, which oversees the European Union, because, you know, I mean, what's bureaucracy without a bureaucracy?
Without a bureaucracy, right.
The European Commission that oversees immigration and, you know, monetary policy for the EU, for the European Union, has decided, is presently deciding on a measure that would basically induce what I call an immigrant indulgence, which is that if you won't take any migrants into your country and you're a European Union, you're a Euro nation, they plan to fine you.
Mm-hmm.
If you won't take them, they plan to fine you.
This is friggin' wild.
Isn't that insane? And then here's the real kick in the ass. If you don't want to take the fine, what you can do is you can pay them a small amount of money, ideally, I suppose, smaller than the fine would be, because otherwise, why would you do it?
Which is still a fine.
Yes, of course. Yeah, of course it is. And then,
well, or a healthcare mandate.
Yeah,
yes,
but
exactly.
We are calling it something else, though. Now, yeah. So they want to if you don't want to take migrants and you don't want to pay this insane fine, then what they're going to do is you can offer up some amount of money, presumably in euros, if they're still worth anything, to pay some other country to take your quota of migrants. So, like, if your country is supposed to take 500,000 migrants and you don't want to take any of them, well, then you have to pay some other country to house them for you.
Yeah, I have two other names for this.
I call it indulgence.
Well, besides extortion, we can call it indulgence. We should talk about this further on another podcast. We can call it indulgence. Of course, we can call it extortion. One name that comes to mind is jizya.
I know what that is, by the way.
It's not what you used to think it is.
No, it's not.
And the other one, crap, I forgot what the other one is. I'll get back to you.
Well, that was scintillating.
Quiet.
Okay. Sorry. I have my throat's dry. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, isn't this how insane is this? That, Angela Merkel is issuing speeches saying, if we rescued the banks, then we can surely rescue migrants.
I don't understand. I've always been a fan of hers. I don't understand what she's doing with this at all.
I don't either. I'm absolutely, completely baffled by it. I can't think of any reason why they're doing this.
Other than, there's not that, like you said, there's 500,000 or something like that. But, they always talk about.
No, that's this year.
Oh, this year.
Yeah.
Well, still,
the European Union takes in traditionally between 200,000 and 330,000 immigrants from North Africa every year.
But this year they already took 800,000.
Yeah,
Germany.
this year is it 800,000?
I believe so.
Oh, that's way higher than I thought.
So the only spin that I can put on it for, if I was gonna try and be in someone like Merkel's shoes for why she would do this, or why Europe would do this, is that Europe has a falling birth rate, right? You need more people coming in to sustain your national programs. That's the only thing that I can think of.
I'm actually seeing that mentioned quite a bit too, Andrea, as a speculation for why they could possibly be doing this besides just caring.
Yeah, they have a negative. There's some countries that I think, like the Netherlands, have a negative birth rate, and you can't sustain anything with that.
Russia's the same way.
Yeah. The only way that you replace that is with immigrants.
Yeah, but you want to replace them with ISIS?
No, but that's the catch-22 that they're in right now. And if they think that it doesn't have a very real possibility of coming back to bite them in the ass, and not in probably not in our generation, but history is longer than your lifetime, and you have to. It'll be our kids and grandkids that end up dealing with this. Generations down the line of replacing Western culture. If you don't get a hold of these people and really try to integrate them, instead of doing what we've done in Europe and America, where we've kind of sectioned, everybody's kind of been allowed to congregate with like is like. And we've always kind of done that, but within a generation or two, they usually had, spoke English and moved out of those areas. Well, that's not happening anymore. And everybody's becoming more insular and isolated in these, American and European countries.
Europe is just an abject failure in that integration, and by their choice, because they embrace multiculturalism in general. And I don't see that it's worked out in any measure that you can measure the success of a society. I don't see how that's worked out at all for them. And now they're just, I don't know. I think it's really fraught with
because
failure.
since again, to go back to Godwin's law, since the Second World War, European children have basically been taught that nationalism and pride and who and what they are is evil.
Right.
And so is it any wonder that they would surround themselves with people who also hate their culture? They do too. So, it might be more like a misery needs company kind of thing, Europeans are miserable fucks, and the Arabs are the company they want to keep.
Or an affirmation of what they've been told to believe or taught to believe.
But how fucked up is that? That all of the really rich Arab countries, Muslim countries, won't take these people in, and their concern is not financial, it's that they're concerned about terrorism.
Oh, well, I want you to get into this. Actually, we're going to take a break in a moment, but what I'm still waiting on my big rant tonight because I got some stuff to say. But the beginning part of that was that the reason that the migrants are not going, migrants/refugees, whatever you want to call them, are not going to the Gulf states and the other Arab countries is that the other Arab countries ain't dumb and these refugees ain't dumb. They know they are not, refugees know they are not going to get any break over there, even if they are allowed in. They're not going to get the gravy train and the opportunity to basically have cultural autonomy in the way that Europe is promising them. Basically, Europe's promising to roll over for them. None of the other Arab countries are going to roll over for these guys. And secondly, the Gulf states themselves, they don't want their shit disrupted. They have their own good deal going for themselves, that the leaders in power. They don't want to introduce instability or more instability into their countries by bringing in fact, a lot of, now you're also talking religious differences. So you're talking bringing in Sunnis to potentially Shia states. You're talking about bringing in Alawites to potentially Shia or Sunni states. They don't want to mess with that. And they don't have to, because they're not a party to any refugee agreements that the UN has, prescribed. They don't care.
Yeah, because basically they're like, fuck it, let the white people handle it.
Yeah. Yep. And you can't blame them. They ain't dumb. Okay, we need to take a break. We will be back in just a minute.
Come with me now. Come with me now. Come with me now. I'm gonna take you down. Come with me now.
Wake up, America.
The biggest threat in those days were from factions seizing control of the governing apparatus and making decisions that were in their interests. Today, we call factions political parties. George Washington himself warned the nation about the dangers of factions in his farewell address.
Office hours with Dr. A, 3 p.m. on Sundays, K98 Talk. We've got something to say to you, America.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
And we're back on the right angle. I just have a couple of more things to say about this whole refugee thing, because you don't hear as much conversation about what's the cause of this. And for anyone to flippantly say, oh, it's Assad. Assad was a tyrant. And oh, there's a revolution for 4 years. And of course they're leaving, I think is incredibly shallow. And the fact is, and I think Bill and I have talked about this in the past, Billy, I think that for the most part, you agree with me, but you can let me know. This president can't pick a winner to save his life. I don't know about his NCAA brackets or that March Madness shit, but in the Middle East, he cannot pick a winner. And everyone he goes against ends up, frankly, being a winner as well. This country chose to try to destabilize Syria. Assad is a shitty guy, and yes, he's a tyrant, and yes, he's a despot, but this country chose revolution instead of stability, just like they had in Egypt. Our country and Europe and England and France propped up the revolutionaries, propped up the rebels, armed the rebels. To this day, we try to train rebels, although apparently it's only 54 at a time or some crap like that. If we had just left it alone, then I dare say that Syria could be rolling on, and we could have unseated Assad or coerced or convinced Assad to move toward a more pro-democratic government in another way. But by allowing ISIS to sweep through Iraq, sweep through Syria, not do anything against the number one threat to stability throughout the Middle East, instead trying to be assholes with the one dictator who was really minding his own business in his own country. It's the U.S. and the West that unleashed this instability and do anything to bring it back into order. That's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, Obama even said it wasn't. He even said that he only wanted to do enough in Syria so that we didn't get mocked. Well, pretty much that whole thing is a joke and ridiculous of what we did there.
Yeah, he's so full of shit with the red line and no. And you know what? Now who's Assad's buddy? It's Putin. Now you have Putin in there with the military, with the Russian military, defending Assad's forces and propping up Assad. If we're on, you can't be on the wrong side, on the right side of this situation, but our leadership has decidedly chosen the wrong side.
Right, and now even Iran wants Assad to stay. And it's like, well, we've got this whole Iran deal. We're not going to do anything we're basically Iran's bitch at this point with Syria. It's really, you kind of see it as like just kind of dominoes being flicked, like it just all goes around, and now you've hit the one domino, and now it's just boom, 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 and the whole Middle East, and now it's flooding into Europe, and
feckless, weak leadership by the most powerful country in the world yields provocation and, bravado by dangerous forces.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, and I have said this since the very beginning, and it was unpopular then, and I'm sure it's probably unpopular now, I would keep Assad there. I don't want Assad gone. I think Assad is good for Syria. I think having a country with a guy who's just crazy enough to use, sarin gas on Iranians, I think that's a good thing. We got rid of Saddam Hussein, and we all know that Saddam Hussein was the only guy who liked to torture Iranians more than Assad did for fun. So, there's an old saying, you don't fight a junkyard dog with ASPCA rules. You get your bigger, meaner dog and you take the leash off of him. And that's sort of how the Middle East works, right? Is you can't fight Iran with contractual obligations and niceties and contracts and tea time. It doesn't. Yeah, really. That shit doesn't work.
Tea time or tea time?
Yeah, really.
What you do is you say, look, this is my friend Saddam and this is my friend Assad. I'm not really thrilled with them doing the things that it is that, they particularly like to do to you guys, but I gotta tell you, if you don't stop fucking with Israel, I'm gonna let Saddam gas you motherfuckers again. And that's just what you tell them. look, if you guys don't cut the shit out, I'm going to let Assad gas you guys for giggles.
Because that's the power that they recognize.
Yeah, that's the only shit they understand.
Yeah, and that's the thing. America and Europe are the only people that think that talking about things gets you anywhere. All these other countries are going, you guys are like, okay, yeah, we'll say. They're like Donald Trump with the GOP contract. They're like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. Then you get the Republican Party off your back. Well, you can go do whatever the heck you want to now.
Yeah.
That's exactly
when did we become the country? When do we become the country that feels like you can appeal to the better angels of murderous thugs?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, we lived in a Middle East where there was a trifecta of power, and it all kind of kept itself in balance. Gaddafi, Assad, Saddam, they all sort of kept each other in check, and all three of them kept Iran in check. Because Iran wasn't going to go mess with Saddam Hussein again after what he did to them in the 80s. There was no way.
And Egypt was totally fine too until Obama started messing with them.
Yeah, I knew a girl that she was an immigrant from Egypt. Her parents had moved here when she was, I don't know, maybe like 10 or something like that. And I remember her saying when everything was happening with Gaddafi being, dragged out in the street and everything, I remember her saying, this is such a bad idea. They have no idea how bad of an idea. A 22-year-old girl knew better than President Obama. Yeah. That says something about how much he knows.
And that's what I have. The only good that can really probably come out of Syria at this point is Putin flies troops in. He flies equipment and advisors in. And they just pummel the living shit out of these, FSA and ISIS guys. Because, to be honest with you, Russians are not bound by, these nicety accords and stuff. They'll just fucking gas these guys. They'll bomb them. They'll drop fucking napalm and Agent Orange on them. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Russians don't give a fuck. I mean, they blow up commuter airline planes and hide them. I mean, what do you think they're going to do to people who are actually terrorists?
And they know that with Obama or, say, Hillary Clinton as president, that we will not do anything.
I have to say, I don't think with Hillary in office, I don't think this would have gotten this bad. I think virtually any other Democrat would have done a much better job than Obama.
Yeah, I need to stop right now because I don't want to talk about Hillary being in office in any way, shape, or form. And also because we need to conclude the show. Thank you so much to our special guest, Andrea Ruth. Andrea, where can everybody find you?
At View from the Cheap Seats or on Twitter at Andrea N. Ruth.
Wonderful. And Billy, where can people find you?
You shouldn't find me because I'm a racist person and I hate Syrians.
You love this one.
You're Lebanese.
That's all right. Yeah, we'll have to catch up on that next time. Why I'm saying I'm Syrian. Technically, I'm both. You can find me at LA Dowd on Twitter. We want to thank you all so much for joining us. Thanks to everybody at the Politainment Network and K98 Talk. Thanks to our producer, the head honcho, Ricky the Chic Robinson at K98 Talk. And we will see you all next week.
Today, the light bulbs getting dim.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices?